With the first pick in the NFL draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select quarterback Trevor Lawrence, Clemson. Listen, this is a slam dunk pick. I could waste your time saying, oh, why this is the easiest pick in the world, why it just should happen, or I could be controversial and say, oh, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to waste your time. It's Trevor Lawrence. He has been the starter at quarterback since Syracuse, I believe, was his first game that he really got substantial playing time when Kelly Bryant got knocked out with concussion. And he just kind of never looked back, taking Clemson to 2 national championships, winning 1, making the college football playoffs all 3 seasons, losing to Ohio State in one of those that he did not make the national championship game. Trevor Lawrence has a great arm. I don't think anyone's doubting that. Trevor Lawrence is just a slam dunk pick. There's not much you can go off of here. I'm not going to waste your time. Lawrence, number 16. This was destined, the whole tank for Trevor thing in the offseason, in last season really, with the Jets tanking, the Jaguars tanking, the Jaguars winning out. Congratulations, you got a franchise quarterback. Don't mess it up. The second overall pick, the New York Jets select Zach Wilson, quarterback, BYU. Now, Wilson to New York kind of feels like it's going to happen now in real life as well, due to the fact that they just traded Sam Darnold to the Panthers. Trading Sam Darnold, at least you had a whole quarterback you need to fix instantly. Zach Wilson's your guy, along with head coach Robert Saleh leading the charge. You got Mike LaFleur, the offense coordinator there. He's going to want to have a run game and tight end probably go around with the young quarterback in Wilson. With what you're going to see here is the Jets are probably going to focus a bit more on helping Wilson out. They're going to probably address the running back in this draft. They're going to address the tight end in this draft at some point. They're going to address wide receiver in this draft. This whole draft now for the Jets is going to be centered around Zach Wilson becoming the franchise guy for New York. With the third overall pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State. Justin Fields is moving up the board a bit for me here. I had him going a little later, and I actually had him going after Trey Lance originally before this trade happened. But due to circumstances, he's coming up to 3. And why am I putting him above Trey Lance if I had him going originally later? Well, it's the circumstances behind this pick. Justin Fields is more ready than Trey Lance is. It's just a fact. Trey Lance needs a couple years to grow. Justin Fields can play day one. Justin Fields is not only the producer on the field, but he's the leader in the locker room. Something I don't know about Trey Lance yet. I'm not going to make any accusations. Justin Fields is why the Big Ten played football last year. They weren't going to play. Justin Fields led the charge with the players, and he led Ohio State to the national championship game after that. But not only was he a great leader in the locker room for them, he was a productive player on the field, tossing touchdowns. He had a couple games where he had some interceptions, but that's expected from a young quarterback. Overall, I think Justin Fields is more suited to take the 49ers to Super Bowl. With the fourth overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Penei Sewell, tackle, Oregon. Now, this isn't a flashy pick, and you may argue it's not even the biggest need the Falcons have. The Falcons have a lot of needs on the defensive end. So I could go pass rusher, and I have one pass rusher rated in the top 10, but I'm going to go with the old cliche, you take the best player on the board here. And the best player on the board is Penei Sewell. Now, you may ask, well, they just drafted 2 offensive linemen in the first round a couple years ago. Kristen Lindstrom and Caleb McGrady. Well, Caleb has not developed that well. He's not been the best tackle. He's not been really what they thought he would be. So, I'm going to replace him with Penei Sewell. Maybe I can get something out of Caleb. Maybe I can get him on the open market, find someone who would be interested in being like, oh, he's a former first-round guy. Let's throw like a 4th or probably more of a 6th or 7th, let's be honest, type situation at him. Well, do that. I'm also going to make sure I get the best offense lineman in the draft. So I'm going to maximize the final years of Matt Ryan. I'm going to maximize that to the fullest. I'm going to protect him. Matt Ryan's not the most mobile guy. My goal is to protect Matt Ryan. And my other goal is going to be, when I replace Ryan, when I bring the new guy, when I bring the next quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, I want to make sure his jersey is clean. I don't want him having an Andrew Luck situation, or with what we may be seeing in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. I don't want that. I want his jersey to be clean. I want Matt Ryan's jersey to be clean. Also, drafting an offensive lineman will help you in the run game. It will help your entire team. The more success you have running the ball, the less time your defense is out there on the field, and your defense isn't that great. Limit the time they're out there. If they can get you a couple stops a game and you can just run the ball, if you can convert on third downs, the crucial downs, you are good. You're in a good spot to win. And the most important way to make sure you win games and get those crucial third downs, to get in good positions to win football games, is having a good offensive line. So I'm going to take the best tackle on the board, the best offensive lineman on the board, and Penei Sewell. With the 5th overall pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Rashawn Slater, offensive lineman, Northwestern. Now, the Atlanta Falcons just beforehand stole my pick in Penei Sewell. So what am I going to do? Am I going to overreact? Am I going to be like, oh no, this is the end of the world. Let's just take that guy. No. My goal entering this draft is to protect Joe Burrow. I do not want Andrew Luck 2.0. I don't even want what happened to Carson Wentz at the end of his tenure in Philadelphia. I do not want a great young quarterback, have his confidence shattered behind a sketchy O-line. I want to protect Joe Burrow. He tore his ACL last year. That needs to be a one-and-done thing. He cannot take those hits. He cannot take all those pressures every single game that he did last year. How are we going to fix that issue? We are going to invest in the O-line. You can say this may be an overdraft, that he's not a top 10 pick. You know what I say? It's not an overdraft if it's an offensive lineman. No offensive lineman can be overdrafted because it fits a specific need that needs to be filled. Rashawn Slater, I've seen some people say he's a guard. I see some people say he's a tackle. I have no doubt he'll be fine at tackle based off what I saw him do against Chase Young a couple years ago at Ohio State. He took Chase Young and just man-upped him the entire game. No problem. Chase Young came to the NFL and was a really, really good rookie day one starter and continued to grow throughout the season. Chase Young won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's a good NFL player. Rashawn Slater man-upped on him and didn't lay down. He took Chase Young to town. He stopped Chase Young. And when you're in a division like the Bengals are, with the Steelers who have TJ Watt, the Ravens who will always have great pass rushers, the Browns with Myles Garrett, I mean, you have to figure out something. Now, again, could you argue this is an overdraft? And yes, and I made my point clear on that. But it's not an overdraft when your goal is to keep a healthy Joe Burrow for the next 10 years. With the 6th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Phillips, edge, Miami. So, hey, you gotta stay in Miami, good for him. But why does this make sense for the Dolphins? Why does it make sense for them to take an edge rusher when you could argue, hey, Justin Fields is still on the board, they're not sold on Tua, Trey Lance? No? Okay. Jamar Chase? Jamar Chase on the board? Another wide receiver? No? Okay. Okay, well, why an edge rusher? Well, I'm going to say this as specific as I can. This wide receiver class is loaded. You can get a good guy in the second round. You really can. You can get a guy with your later first-round pick. But, man, teams need a top edge rusher to win championships. The Bucs have Shaq Barrett. The Chiefs had Frank Clark. You can just go down the list. You need a top-end pass rusher to win a Super Bowl. And that's what Jalen Phillips is. He's almost a hybrid of the Watt brothers, if that makes sense. Just watch him play. It's hard to describe. But here's what I will say. He is a good pass rusher. He's very good at getting skinny. But also, he's really aware of the run game. This is not a pass rusher that's only really reliant on going to the quarterback. I mean, he's got great burst. He has great closing speed to get the quarterback down on the ground. But he's very aware in the run game. He knows his gaps he has to be in. He knows where he has to go. And at the end of the day, it's not like he knows he has to make the tackle. No, he knows there's someone else that can come in and clean it up for him. He's got good closing speed to get to the running backs. If he shoots a gap, he's got great speed. I overall really like Jalen Phillips. I know some people have his teammate, Gregory Rousseau, rated higher. I know some people have Kwity Paye rated higher. It's really who you pick. I like Phillips most. That's why I have him going to Miami. With the 7th overall pick, the Detroit Lions select Trey Lance, quarterback, NDSU. Now here's probably a big surprise. Trey Lance before Justin Fields. Trey Lance to Detroit as well. I mean, that's two things surprising here. Well, let me explain to you why they're both not surprising to me. And they both make sense in my mind. Whether they make sense in your mind is up to you to decide. Trey Lance always screamed to me insane level athlete whenever I watch him at NDSU. And could that be because he was playing against FCS level competition? It absolutely could be because of that. I mean, he wasn't going against the guys that Justin Fields was going against week in, week out. But here's also what I saw from Trey Lance. He has the physical traits of a Cam Newton, a young Cam Newton who isn't as gun-shy as he kind of is now. That he's just going to run at you, and he's going to either run through you, or you guys are going to collide, and you're probably going to get the worst end of that. But that has its downside. Because as you see now with Cam Newton, he's not what he once was. Age has caught up to him. Some unnecessary hits he took as a young player for the Panthers caught up to him. Well, how can we make sure this doesn't happen with Trey Lance? Well, you sit him. In Detroit, you got Jared Goff. I mean, you're not going to the Super Bowl. You're not going to probably even contend for the playoffs, but you got Jared Goff. You got a guy who can play in front of Trey Lance, and a couple years from now, you can trade him. Or, I believe, due to the fact how the trade works out, you can probably cut him and save a lot of dead cap. Either way, it's a win-win. You got your franchise quarterback sitting and learning the NFL game. You're not going to throw him out there to the Wolves week 1. You get time to build your team around him, to construct it a certain way around him, knowing he's your guy and we're going to put him in the best spot to win. Lance, he's a good decision maker. He doesn't throw many picks at all. He's very smart with the football. And he also has a cannon for an arm. The dude can launch it downfield with ease. He's a tremendous athlete. And I think he has one of the highest upsides in this draft. When I say I maybe give him higher upside than Zach Wilson, that's not me lying. That's not me trying to sell you to sell Lions fans. That's me being legit serious. I have liked Lance since the first game I watched of him. And throughout the FCS playoffs, throughout the FCS season when I watched him as NDSU, what he did to Montana State, he destroyed them. Like, he is an elite level talent. He's not an FCS talent. You got to throw that out the window. He is not an FCS quarterback. It's like when Carson Wentz came out of the draft. He wasn't an FCS level quarterback. He was a top tier quarterback. Trey Lance is a top tier quarterback talent. But does he have his flaws? Absolutely. Again, he has not played against the best competition. FCS to NFL is a big jump. You need to ease him as much as possible, and having him sit for a year or two is the best way to do that, sitting him behind Jared Goff, who also did have his struggles. Now, I'm not saying Jared Goff will teach him or anything. That's completely up to Goff if he would or not. But here's what I do know. Trey Lance is a talent that can change a franchise for the next 10 years. The Lions need that. With the 8th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers select Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida. I had Pitts fall into the laps of Carolina. Now, why do I think Pitts is a good fit for Carolina? Well, it's simple. You need a game-changer receiver. You need that. Carolina has not had that since, really, Steve Smith. And you need that as a team to kind of contend, to take it to the Super Bowl champions in your division, take it to the Atlanta Falcons, who have Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, take it to the Saints, who, even though they don't have Drew Brees anymore, they got Jameis Winston and a good wide receiver in Michael Thomas. You need that other option to change the game. Christian McCaffrey had some injury issues last year. You need that type person that can take over a game. With the 10th overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Patrick Surtain, cornerback, Alabama. Now, the Dallas Cowboys have an issue. Their issue is called their defense was really, really bad last year. It had some injuries, but it did overall, even when healthy, it just didn't look good. You had Leighton Vander Esch deal with nagging injuries throughout the year. Jalen Smith's contract kind of overshadowing his play, not living up to his contract. And you brought in some new guys to play this year now. You got Keanu Neal, who you just brought in to play safety, and DeMonte Kaiser, both guys who worked with Dan Quinn, who is now in Dallas. Now, why do I think Patrick Surtain is the pick here? Well, I value him more over Caleb Farley right now because of Caleb Farley's back surgery that he just had done. Overall, I don't know how someone's going to react to that. I don't know how their body's going to recover. Back issues, just something, it's not my expertise, so I'm going to kind of stay out of that. So I'm going to go with the guy known Patrick Surtain. Patrick had 38 consecutive starts at Alabama. I mean, when you have that many starts at Alabama of all places, where top recruits keep on going, you're in a good spot. He's got good technique. He's technically proficient and trusts his technique. But overall, it's not just that. He's got his athletic abilities. The dude can jump over anything, I would believe. But he's great in 50-50 balls where he can jump and leap over the wide receiver to either alter the pass or pick it off. Overall, I think Dallas needs to address their defense. It was a big issue last year, and getting a number one corner can affect your entire defense as a whole. With the 11th overall pick, the New York Giants select Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle, Virginia Tech. Now, this seems to be an issue that the Giants have had for, it feels like a decade at this point, that they need to address their offensive line. Well, they keep on attempting to, and it keeps on failing. Andrew Thomas did not live up to the 4th overall pick standard. Now, that being said, he just had a rookie year. Still time for him to grow. Not going to overreact. But he didn't seem like an NFL tackle. Which made me wonder, hey, do you maybe put him inside the guard and get a new guy? Or do you just get a guy from the other side? Either way, I think protecting Daniel Jones needs to be a number one issue if you still believe in him. If you still believe in him, if you still think he is your guy, you need to protect him. You signed Kenny Galladay for a good contract, I'd say, for Galladay, 4 years, $72 million. So you got Jones' number one target. You got Sterling Shepard. You got talent around him. You got Saquon Barkley coming back. Get him this final piece, and this year will be, is Daniel Jones our guy or not? Because if Daniel Jones is not your guy, you're going to want to come back next year and address the quarterback, or you can go cross town and see if the Jets are shopping Sam Darnold, or just if anyone's shopping in quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. You have a lot of options here, but you can't know for certain if you have your guy or not if you don't keep his jersey clean. With the 12th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Ja'Marr Chase, wide receiver, LSU. Now, Chase falling this far would be a blessing for the Eagles and Eagles fans, but I look at it as something different. I look at it as, let's figure out this Jalen Hurts fella. We don't know about him yet. He showed promise at the end of the season, but then he also showed kind of mixed results. He was good and bad, a lot like Carson Wentz, but just less turnovers. So you want to figure out what you have in Jalen Hurts, so you want to get him a top-tier number one wide receiver to help figure it out. You got the bulk of your own line returning. Lane Johnson is a big guy returning, along with Jason Kelce, making sure he plays one more year. You'll be able to figure out Jalen Hurts with your own line protection. Your running crew, can use improvement, but let's focus on that in the later rounds. Now let's look at it here. There's no tight end on the board. Kyle Pitts is not here. I do know we're going to move off Zach Ertz at some point, so we need Hurts to have a safety net. We need him to have a reliable number one target. That's Ja'Marr Chase, as he was for Joe Burrow at LSU. With the 13th overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Alijah Vera-Tucker, guard, USC. Now the Chargers, they need to address the offensive line. You cannot have Justin Herbert get hit all the time. He's your franchise quarterback. You got to protect him. You don't want another Andrew Luck situation on your hands. So, with when you look at Tucker, he's not a tackle, and preferably you'd want a left tackle to protect the blind spot. But that doesn't mean you should overdraft for a certain position when there's another good offense lineman in the spot you can take him. Now, with Tucker, his biggest strength is he plays under control. He never seems to be freaking out. He seems to know what he's doing, and just keeps his focus centered. That's a great guy you can have with a young quarterback who sometimes Herbert will miss a blitz. He'll miss something. You want someone who's calm, cool, collected, ready to take that challenge on. That's what Vera Tucker can do. With the 14th overall pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Kwity Paye, edge rusher, Michigan. Now, Kwity, he is not your prototypical pass rusher game nowadays. A lot of times, you're seeing speed rushers. You're seeing guys who can bend the corner, get to the quarterback quick. That's not Kwity. He is powerful. This man will shove you into the ground. He is someone who, if he were to play Brian Bulaga, would probably be one of the greatest fights you'd see, because it may legit turn out into a fight with how those two are. Paye is a powerful guy, though. He's a powerful pass rusher. He's a powerful run stopper. Now, you put him on the D-line, they'll have Dalvin Tomlinson, a return of Michael Pierce after opting out last year, and the return from injured Danielle Hunter. Also, another good reason why Paye fits there is that Hunter will require double teams because he's one of the best pass rushers in the league. When you have Paye, a powerful guy, you want him in man-to-man. You don't want him double-teamed. It's going to take away a lot from him. If you can get him manned up with someone, you have confidence that he can run that person into the ground and then run the quarterback into the ground. With the 15th overall pick, the New England Patriots select DeVonta Smith, wide receiver, Alabama. Now, the Patriots don't have the best recent history of wide receiver picks. Aaron Dobson, N'Keal Harry, I could go on for a while, but I'm just going to cut off there. They have not turned out well. They seem to do better with guys they bring in through free agency. So, you're going to look at the receivers they brought in through free agency. Kendrick Bourne, he's good. Nelson Aguilar, he's good when he catches the ball. But you need a game-changer wide receiver. You need that guy who can take over a game. DeVonta Smith did that at Alabama. I have questions if he'll do it at the pro level. He's a bit smaller, all that. Don't know about his body size. But when we're talking sheer talent, he's got it. He's got the talent. I think DeVonta Smith will have a great career in the NFL if he's used properly. Now, why do I think he'll be used properly in New England? It's Bill Belichick. He knows where to put guys in the right spots. I remember this quote, hearing it, is, I'd rather focus on their strengths than their weaknesses. So Bill Belichick will focus on DeVonta Smith's strengths and make him a better player. With the 16th overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals select J.C. Horn, cornerback, South Carolina. J.C. Horn, the son of NFL wide receiver Joe Horn. He's got the NFL bloodline. It's a positive, but let's talk about the thing with this pick, and that's the fact that Caleb Farley is still on the board. Why am I taking Horn over Farley? Well, it's simple. I think healthy, I would take Farley, but due to Farley's back injury, I would take Horn before him. Horn's got a healthy back. I'm much more reliable on that. So let's talk about the positives about J.C. Horn. He's got size and length that helps him out in man-to-man coverage. He can play a cover scheme, but he can also travel sideline to sideline and match up with the number one wide receiver. The Cardinals need that after losing Patrick Peterson to the Minnesota Vikings. Patrick Peterson was their number one corner for many, many years. He regressed a bit at the end due to age catching up to him and his natural athleticism, but overall, Patrick Peterson was still a great cornerback. You need that, and you need to address that position, especially if you're going to contend, and J.C. Horn can be the guy you address it with. With the 17th overall pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select Gregory Rousseau, edge rusher, Miami. Now, the Raiders need to address the pass rushing situation. They haven't had a premier pass rusher since Khalil Mack. They've drafted Clelin Ferrell at number 4 overall a couple years ago. He hasn't lived up to the number 4 overall pick. So, the Raiders need to address this, and Gregory Rousseau is a projected NFL edge rusher. His size, I mean, the dude is 6'7". He has the range, he has the arms, he has the body for it. But he also has the talent, he has the ability. He can escape blocks and reestablish position with pretty much ease. He's very easygoing. He's a very smooth pass rusher. He's got great change in direction. He's smooth in that. The Raiders need a premier pass rusher, and Gregory Rousseau can be that. With the 18th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins select Rondale Moore, wide receiver, Purdue. Now, Rondale has been talked about as the top 3 wide receiver in this class. Ja'Marr Chase, DeVonta Smith, they're rightfully so the top 2. But a lot of other people have Jalen Waddle here 3. Well, I'm going to disagree with people here. Jalen Waddle's a great player, but I like Rondale Moore. Why? Because he can do things other wide receivers in this class can't do. He does stuff better than Jamar Chase does stuff. He does stuff better than Devontae Smith. He's just not as complete as all of them. But why do I like Rondale Moore so much? Well, his size is 5'7", so he's small. You put him in the slot, he excels. But he's also thick. The dude is big, not height-wise, but body-wise. He is very in shape. He's very muscular. He can absorb the damage. But he's not only a slot player. You can line him up at wide receiver on the outside, and he will excel in man-to-man coverage. He will find the holes in zone. He's a smart wide receiver that is fun to watch play. And Miami needs a fun wide receiver on their team to play with. They have Will Fuller, who I believe is still suspended due to his PD suspension last year. And you also look at it, Will Fuller, he's got health concerns. You need a guy who you think can play 16 games in a season. That will be Rondale Moore. With the 19th overall pick, the Washington football team select Jalen Waddle, wide receiver, Alabama. Now you might be asking me, why would you have Washington taking a wide receiver here? They just signed Curtis Samuel, they got Terry McLaurin. Well, it's simple. Washington needs a quarterback. They need a quarterback to win a Super Bowl. This team is pretty good right now. You got good coach in Ron Rivera. You got good weapons, but you got to make them great weapons. Now, Ryan Fitzpatrick's not going to take you to the Super Bowl. He may win you a division. He's not going to win a Super Bowl. So you have to look at what you can do here in this draft. Could you take a shot at a Mac Jones here? Potentially, yes. But I'm not high on Mac Jones. So I'm going to wait till next year where I can possibly see that class and be a bit more thorough about it. Have more scouts. Have more opportunities to talk to them. Figure everything out a lot better. I can use Ryan Fitzpatrick as a gap quarterback here. And I can use him with a great wide receiver core to help me win my division. That's what getting Jalen Waddle does. It helps him now, but it also helps in the future. Because when you bring in a young quarterback, you need him to have success out of the gate now in the NFL to pretty much build his confidence and overall not be declared a bust like you just had with Dwayne Haskins. You need to put a rookie quarterback in the best situation to succeed, and drafting Jalen Waddle would help the Washington football team. With the 20th overall pick, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Farley, cornerback, Virginia Tech. Now the slide of Farley's over. I have him slot in here to the Bears. And you may ask why. The Bears have some other issues. I mean, Mac Jones is still on the board. We could address quarterback? Well, we're not gonna. We're gonna take Caleb Farley because he is the best player on the board. His back injury is concerning, obviously, but I have the medicals. I know he's good. I know he can play. I know he is one of the best corners in this draft. I believe he is the very best. We just need him to be healthy. That's something I'm not worried about. He's getting his back treated now instead of later. He's going to be rested. He's going to be good to go for the NFL season. And Caleb Farley does fill a major need for the Bears after cutting Kyle Fuller. The Bears need a top cornerback, and Caleb Farley can be that. With the 21st overall pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Rashad Bateman, wide receiver, Minnesota. Now, Bateman is a slot guy. That's really where I'm going to see him play at in Indianapolis is the slot. And I like that because Carson Wentz, he needs a lot of weapons. With what he had the past couple years in Philly, the Colts need to atone for that because he had no one to throw the ball to. I mean, Greg Ward for a majority was his best wide receiver. That's saying something. Colts have Michael Pittman Jr., they have T.Y. Hilton, they have great tight ends, they have other good wide receivers, but you need somebody else, somebody who can kind of be your drive go-to guy, the guy who can emerge and get you that big third down play to get you that first, to extend drives, and that can be Rashad Bateman. He's a great slot guy who has great hands already and will excel at the NFL level playing football with Carson Wentz. With the 22nd overall pick, the Tennessee Titans select Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle, Oklahoma State. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Titans just took offensive tackle last year. Well, he's already headed out of the league. So let's not cry about it. Let's not worry about it. No, let's just readdress it. Let's get it right this time. And Tevin Jenkins is the perfect pick for the Titans. The Titans want to be this mean, nasty, physical, run-the-ball team. That's Tevin Jenkins blocking. Mean and nasty. He is going to get his hands on you, and once he gets his hands on you, you're going down. You're not getting past him, you're just going down into the ground if he wants you to. Tevin Jenkins is a perfect Titan and would be perfect to slot at the right side. With the 23rd overall pick, the New York Jets select Kadarius Toney, wide receiver, Florida. Now, the Jets, they drafted Zach Wilson. We already had them draft Zach Wilson, got rid of Sam Darnold. Well, we need to make sure Zach Wilson has a good start to his career. Because as much as quarterback is talent and knowledge, it's also about confidence. If you're not confident, you're not going to succeed. Well, you need to have proper weapons around a quarterback to gain his confidence. So, let's give him Kadarius Toney, kind of a Swiss Army knife player. He can catch the ball good, he's good in the slot, he's good in the return game, and he's also good on jet sweeps and all that. So, with what you give your offense is a completely different set of plays to run with Toney. Toney can catch out of the backfield. He's great on screens. You can do jet sweeps. You can use motions. But he's also fast enough that he can do deep plays. He is a Swiss Army knife that the Jets can use to help build Zach Wilson's confidence. With the 24th overall pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Creed Humphrey, center, Oklahoma. Now, Creed Humphrey is a guy the Steelers need. They need a centerpiece for the future of their team, future of their O-line. And that's crucial with a center, especially after having your former centerpiece of your O-line, Marquise Pouncey, just previously retire. You got David Castro coming off his worst season of his career, and you got 3 unproven guys really on your offense line. Well, you need someone that you can build around that you're confident in can be that guy. Do I like Kevin Dotson? Yes. Do I know if he's that guy yet? No, I don't. I believe Creed Humphrey will be that guy for whatever team drafts him, and right now, I'm the Steelers and I'm drafting him. He is coming from a wrestling background, and that is evident in his core strength. This dude is strong. He will get his hands on you, and you are not getting past him, and will be very dominant in the run game. With the 25th overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Micah Parsons, outside linebacker, inside linebacker, Penn State. Now, the reason why I say outside and inside linebacker is I don't know what position you're going to have Parsons play, but what I do know, he is a freaky athlete. He is the guy that coaches, they want to get their hands on. They want to work with him. They want to do something with him because he is so athletic. You could put him anywhere. You could have him rush the passer. You could put him at inside linebacker, have him drop back. There are so many possibilities you can do with him, and it makes coaches excited. Well, if I'm the Jaguars, I'm going to make my brand new coach, Urban Meyer, happy. I'm going to make my new defense coordinator happy. I'm going to make every coach happy because we're going to take him and we're just going to throw him all over the field and see what works. And I do think in this system, I think he'd be best suited inside linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that's where he'd probably play the best at, would be inside backer. He did play some outside linebacker in college, and he was an edge rusher in high school. I just don't know if he's NFL size to be an outside linebacker at the NFL level. I do think he has the size, the intangibles, everything to be a good inside linebacker for the Jaguars, which is crucial in a division that now has Carson Wentz, Ryan Tannehill, and currently Deshaun Watson. With the 26th overall pick, the Cleveland Browns select Elijah Moore, wide receiver, Ole Miss. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Why would you have the Browns going wide receiver? They're getting Odell Beckham back. Well, that's why. I actually really liked how the Browns' offense looked without Odell last year. And Odell is a great talent. So you can't say, well, you gotta get rid of him. He's nobody. No, he's a great talent. He's still useful. But it kind of feels like their offense runs better when he's not there. So what am I going to do? I'm going to draft somebody else, see how the offense works this year with Odell, and we'll just use a triple threat, whatever you want to call it. We'll use that. And then, if Odell doesn't work out, if your offense decreases, you got the trade deadline, you can move him. You draft Elijah Moore, who you like a lot, who you can now use at the opposite side of Jarvis Landry, if you so choose so. This draft move, it not only gives you the ability to progress on the field, because you get Baker Mayfield, another weapon, it also helps you when you have to make the cap casualties decision next offseason. With the 27th overall pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Terrace Marshall, wide receiver, LSU. Now, the Ravens, they need a wide receiver. You can tell with how they did free agency. They tried to get Juju. They couldn't. Tried to get T.Y. Hilton. They couldn't. They got Sammy Watkins, but Sammy Watkins isn't a one receiver. And Hollywood Brown, I wasn't high on him when he came in the league, and he hasn't really done that much since his really couple of games in his rookie season. He hasn't been that explosive player they thought he would be. So let's look at with who's on the board here. Terrace Marshall from LSU. Marshall is someone I've had going higher, I've had going lower in a bunch of mocks. It's really where you want him in scheme fit. Baltimore needs a guy who can just line up in the slot and take over a game. That can be Terrace Marshall. It's what he did at LSU, and it's what he can do at Baltimore. With the 28th overall pick, the New Orleans Saints select Eric Stokes, cornerback, Georgia. Now, Stokes hasn't been getting a lot of first-round hype, but I like him, especially for the bomb in the first round. I think that's right where he should go. Stokes is a guy who has flashes of playmaking instincts, just doesn't have all the tools put together yet. You have a Saints team who I expect some regression from this year. I don't expect them to be as good as they were last year due to the fact they don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback anymore. But I think this is the perfect spot for a young cornerback to go who's still putting the tools together. The Saints didn't really have the best secondary last year. You can look to improve it here. With the 29th pick, the Green Bay Packers select Zaven Collins, linebacker, Tulsa. The Packers had an issue on defense last year, and that was their linebackers. They weren't great in the rush defense. They weren't great in the pass defense. Well, why don't I give them Zaven Collins? He's got some work to do in his pass defense, but he's very good in the rush defense, which is crucial for the Packers. They played Dalvin Cook twice a year. They played David Montgomery twice a year. The Lions have a nice two-back set of Swift and Johnson. The Packers will have to play those guys 6 times a year, let alone their other backs in the NFC. You got Ezekiel Elliott. If you play the AFC, you got Derrick Henry. There's a lot of great backs in the NFL today, and you really can't afford to have a bad rush defense, or else Aaron Rodgers will be off the field while you can't stop the run game, given their offense time of possession. At the 30th overall pick, the Buffalo Bills select Christian Barrymore, defensive tackle, Alabama. The Bills had some issues on the defensive line last year. They weren't gaining pressure on the quarterback. They weren't really doing the best that they have done in years past under Sean McDermott. And that's something that caught me by surprise, considering how much I liked their defense the previous year. So we're going to address it right now. We're going to take Christian Barrymore. He's the best player on the board. He is a strong dude. He's strong for that interior. He can shoot through gaps. He can get in the rushing lanes. He can get to the quarterback. He can do everything what you want out of an interior defensive lineman in today's NFL. With the 31st overall pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Joseph Ossai, edge rusher, Texas. Ossai is a violent hitter, to say the least. When he hits the quarterback, they are usually strip sacks because he knocks the ball out of the quarterback's hands. He's a violent hitter. He is a Baltimore Raven. And the Ravens need a new edge rusher after losing Matthew Judon in free agency. Joseph Ossai looks like a Raven, and he plays like a Raven. With the 32nd overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Joe Tryon, edge rusher, Washington. Now, I know what you're thinking. He's a projection. He's not really a first-round guy. Well, I love the projection for the Bucs. Let me tell you, this dude has the athletic build and frame. He has all the tools. He can go in, he can go out. He just hasn't pieced it all together. He's extremely raw. But why do I get so excited about this? Because if you pair him up with Todd Bowles, one of the best defensive coaches in the entire world, stuff will get ironed out. Those tools he will learn, he will know how to use them improperly. Him paired up with Shaq Barrett is terrifying for the rest of the NFC. The rest of the NFL, really. If he can piece it all together with Todd Bowles behind him, he will become an elite pass rusher.